Leon Trotsky was an incredibly important figure in Russian history. He was born on November 7, 1879, and died on August 20, 1940. Leon Trotsky was born in Yanovka, Ukraine with the name Lev Davidovich Bronstein. At a very early age, Trotsky had a rebellious attitude. In second grade, Trotsky led a protest against a teacher that every student disliked. In 1896, Trotsky moved to Nikolaev and became associated with revolutionary activities. After becoming a Narodnik, he helped organize workers' unions in 1897. After distributing revolutionary pamphlets, he was arrested in January 1898. Trotsky awaited trial for 2 years and was eventually sentenced to exile to Siberia for 4 years in the year 1900. In the summer of 1902, Leon had broken out of jail in Siberia using a stolen passport of a man named Leon Trotsky. He would keep this name to prevent being caught after his escape. After escaping from Siberia, Trotsky moved to London, England. Here, Trotsky joined Iskra, a London-based revolutionary newspaper. This newspaper split into two factions, the Mensheviks and the Bolsheviks. Trotsky soon became a follower of the Menshevik Party. In September 1904, Trotsky left the Mensheviks. Trotsky insisted on having an alliance with Lenin and the Bolsheviks. From 1904 to 1917, Trotsky deemed himself a non-factional social democrat. Within these years, he began developing his theories of permanent revolution. Once Bloody Sunday occurred on January 22, 1905, Trotsky secretly snuck back into Russia from London. Trotsky began writing leaflets for an underground printing press. Soon, a secret police agent revealed Trotsky's radical role with the Bolsheviks. This forced Trotsky to move to Finland. This allowed for Trotsky to get his theory of permanent revolution out to the public. Once Trotsky returned to St. Petersburg, he was arrested and put on trial in 1906 for supporting an armed rebellion. Trotsky was sentenced to exile for life and traveled to Vienna. While in Vienna, Trotsky continued to publish articles in radical Russian and Ukrainian newspapers, but was forced to move to Switzerland after the outbreak of World War I. Trotsky then moved to France but got deported from 2 different countries and ended up in New York City on January 13, 1917. While in New York, Trotsky wrote articles for the Russian-language socialist newspaper. After Tsar Nicholas II was overthrown, Trotsky returned back to Russia but was intercepted by British naval officials and eventually released. Trotsky reached Russia on May 4, 1917. Once in Russia, Trotsky was in substantial agreement with the Bolshevik Party and sided with Lenin in staging an armed uprising to take over the provisional government. Trotsky was elected chairman of the Bolshevik Party on October 8th, and soon after he was successful in taking over the Petrograd. This made him the second man in the Bolshevik Party after Lenin. Trotsky began training revolutionaries in the spring of 1918 and hired former generals to train the Red Army. Many people saw this as a negative move because most believed the army should be made of revolutionaries only. Trotsky expressed the fact that propaganda was the key to maintaining a strong army. With the tactics of Trotsky, the Red Army defeated the White Army's spring offensive in the east in mid-1919. Once Lenin died from a stroke on January 21, 1924, tensions between Trotsky and his main opponent, Joseph Stalin, grew extremely high. They were now both in a battle for power. Stalin and other Bolshevik members had formed a trinity to make sure that Trotsky would not succeed after Lenin. One of the many reasons for this was because Trotsky was a turbulent revolutionist and everybody else in the Bolshevik Party was in favor of normalcy. Trotsky refers to Stalin as the gravedigger of the revolution after hearing his ideas. In 1922, Stalin and Trotsky grew further apart after Stalin merged the Soviet Republicans into one state. Due to Trotsky's arrogance and Stalin's impact on the people, Trotsky was expelled from the Central Committee in October of 1927, expelled from the Communist Party on November 12, 1927, expelled from the Soviet Union in February 1929, and finally exiled to Mexico. On August 20, 1940, an assassin named Ramon Mercader, sent by Joseph Stalin himself, went to the house of Leon Trotsky in Coyoacan, Mexico to end his life. Mercader later testified at his trial. I laid my raincoat on the table in such a way as to be able to remove the ice axe, which was in the pocket. I decided not to miss the wonderful opportunity that presented itself. The moment Trotsky began reading the article, he gave me my chance. I took out the ice axe from the raincoat, gripped it in my hand, and, with my eyes closed, dealt him a terrible blow on the head. Leon Trotsky had been put on his deathbed in August 1940. He is known all throughout Russian history as a man with great intelligence who led the revolution in Russia to victory. The life achievements of Trotsky affected both the themes of revolution and power throughout life in Russia. If it wasn't for Trotsky's extraordinary ability to raise and strengthen the Red Army, the winners of the Civil War in Russia would have most definitely been the White Army. Trotsky also affected power because when he was assassinated, Stalin took power of Russia and became a totalitarian ruler. This changed Russia forever. The English theme that people's ignorance contribute to their political and social oppression fit Trotsky completely. Since Trotsky was ignorant and did not appeal to many citizens of Russia, he lost most of his support, which led to Joseph Stalin becoming more popular. Just like in real life, this theme could be seen in books such as Animal Farm. The farm owner, Mr. Jones, was as ignorant as one could imagine. Because of his abuse and cruelness, he lost support of his animals and was taken